Hello y'all, welcome back to Case Can Probably Read. My name is Casey because someone's has to be. Well, I read 5 books this week and I'm just gonna jump right into it, starting with the 2 books that I read for Asian Readathon 2023. The first of which is Ghost of Deceit by Alice Winters. This was the 3rd in a series. The other 2 were named Ghost of Lies, and I want to say like Ghost of Truth. I don't know. It was something like that. So this is a 3rd in the series. It follows a detective and a consultant. The consultant is a Japanese American man named Hiro Moore, and he can see and talk to ghosts. So he consults with a detective named Maddox Booker, and together they solve crime. Maddox and Hiro do have a relationship, so this was kind of a continuation of that. I don't think that these are books that you necessarily read for the mystery. I think they're more books that you read because of the dialogue, and the characters are just kind of madcap, maybe is the word. Hiro has all these friends who are ghosts that just kind of hang around him, and they're just constantly going off on tangents. But actually, it's really hilarious because they're always being dramatic and going off on these separate stories that have nothing to do with what they're talking about, and it's actually pretty hilarious. So for me, I think that is like the main draw of these books. It does seem like there's probably going to be more books in the series. There were some unanswered questions. Alice Winters has done some other series that I have not read, but the other series that I've seen typically have 4 or 5 books in them, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be more added to this series. The second book I read for Asian Readathon this week was This Way Out by Tufayel Ahmed. This Way Out is about a Bengali man. He lives in London. His name is Amar Iqbal, and the story starts when he comes out to his family over a WhatsApp group message and tells them that he's also getting married to a man. That is just the kind of the match strike of the story, and everything from that point on is just the fallout that comes from that. Amar is going through a lot of different things. He recently lost his mother. There are a lot of things in his family that make navigating this relationship now that he's come out difficult. They are very traditional Muslims. I think he's like the 2nd youngest. He's got one younger sister, but his other 3 siblings are older than him. And he is also marrying a man who is white. And so there's a lot of tension that comes from not just his own family, but from trying to fit into his fiance's family. I feel like it's a compelling story for anyone. There's a lot of ways that people can commiserate with Amar. For me personally, just being brown in a society that seems like it's primarily white and doesn't recognize the privilege that it has, because Amar, his in-laws, just make a lot of really awful mistakes when it comes to welcoming him to their family. They have to learn a lot. But the nice thing about this book is it is hopeful, and I feel like it ends on a very hopeful note. And I really, really liked it, and I would recommend this one for sure. The other 3 books that I read this week were separate from Asian Readathon. The first was Romance Languages by A.J. Truman. And this, again, is the 3rd in a series. This one was a French teacher who ends up falling in love with a coach/Spanish teacher. So I think the spin on this one that makes it different than the other 2 is that the main character in this one, the French teacher, Julian, is a virgin. There is a little bit of fat phobia in the book. it's not fat phobia that the author is participating in. It's obviously saying, hey, this is fat phobia and we don't like it. But that's just something to be aware of if you decide to read it. All in all, it was an enjoyable book. To be honest, this isn't a series that I necessarily read because I just love it down to my toes, but I like it. I like it. And it's something that I like to read when I want something easier, something to kind of clear the head, something that I know is going to end happily and be kind of funny and lighthearted in most senses. So, The next book I read was Cherry Picked by May Archer. This one is the third in the Sunday Brothers series. And it follows Hawk Sunday, who is the youngest Sunday brother. So it's kind of a brother's best friend romance. Hawk is also a virgin. So I guess I read 2 of those 2 books with that trope in it this week. I will read anything that May Archer writes pretty much because I just really like the way that she tells stories. So I like it simply because it's by May Archer and it's set in a May Archer world. It wasn't my favorite of her books though. Once again, the second one is my favorite one. The one, I think it followed Webb, which is the brother. Webb's best friend is the guy that Hawk ends up in a relationship in the third one. So I liked the one that had Webb in it the best, but I mean, this was still a good book. That's a lot to say. It was fine. It was good. And the last book that I read this week, it's a little hard to explain. The title is Bro and the Beast. It is by Elsie Davis, and it is from a series called The Wolf's Mate. It looks like there's 2 out and 1 due to be released at the end of this month. Elsie Davis is a trans impreg author, which I guess is kind of like this little sub trope or something of Omegaverse fiction, which I am by no means an expert in, but I have read a couple that are, I guess, Omegaverse impreg fiction. So the premise of this story is we have a main character named Brad. Brad is a frat bro from Massachusetts. Typical alpha male type mentality. And those aren't even my words. I'm pretty sure that was the author's words. So he's got muscles, he's got backwards cap, he's always looking for a fight, shuns anything that makes him look weak or feminine. The story starts when he's talking to his twin brother, who is very different from him. And his twin brother is reading a shifter romance. And he starts making fun of his brother for reading the book. And his brother gets mad and storms out. And so Brad starts to feel guilty for upsetting his brother. So he sits down on the couch, he opens the book and he starts to read it. And he starts getting sucked into the story. Then he gets a call, he has to leave. And while he's out driving to wherever he is supposed to be going, he gets in a car accident. And when he wakes up, he finds himself inside the book, the story. I have never read any like Omegaverse fiction that had a female as the Omega character, the Omega part of the Alpha Omega romance pair. I've only read ones that have had 2 guys. So it was really interesting to read a book that was supposed to star an alpha male and then an Omega female, and then to switch out the Omega female for an Omega male who had no intentions of being part of this fated pair. It's really kind of a fun, refreshing take because whereas he's kind of, as an Omega, expected to be kind of a wilting flower, he's like the opposite. He comes in, ready to drink beer and start fights. I mean, it's unique. It's definitely unique. And it's entertaining. So I finished the first one and I've started the second one, and I probably will read the third one when it comes out because they're very short. But if you're looking for something really weird, definitely check it out. That's all I got for you today. I finished another book, I think just one book, and I'm about halfway through another one that will go towards my Asian Readathon challenges. So I'm hoping to have those on the wrap up next week, and also probably the second one in the Wolf's Mate series. And we'll just kind of see what I get to besides that. If my brand of awkward appeals to you, please feel free to like this video, subscribe to my channel, or follow me on social media. And until next time, read something weird. Bye.